And welcome to the regular monthly meeting of Lebanon Town Council for the month of May. This time I have a friend and colleague here with us to do our invocation, Mr. Keith Hovis. Keith, if you would come forward, we'll have our invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you rise?
In Psalms 46 and verse 10, David said, "Be still and know that I am God." I think as council members, as citizens in our town, as citizens in our nation, this day and time, that's something we need to stop and consider each and every day. Let's bow in a word of prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful for this beautiful day that you have blessed us with. For all, Father, the blessings of nature, the spiritual blessings that you give us each and every day. Father, this evening we're especially thankful for our civil government, for our council members, for our mayor. We're thankful, Father, that you have blessed us with this good town and the beauty of it. We pray this evening, Father, as they make decisions regarding the workings of our community, we pray that you be with them. May they make those things with wisdom and with knowledge. And may each one of us, Father, always take pride in the things that you bless us with each and every day. We pray for our nation. We pray for our commonwealth. We pray for our town. For it's in Christ's name that we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, any council members we're at the edit for business on the agenda. Any council members have anything to add this time?
I'd like to add delinquent business license to all business owners.
Mayor, I'd like to add downtown revitalization to old business.
Any other items? Drew, do you have anything that's come up since we met last week?
Yes, sir.
You good? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Also received minutes from our regular April council meeting, as well as the call meeting in late March. Hope everyone's had a chance to review those. Is there any editing that needs to be done to those minutes?
Mr. Mayor, the March 28th meeting, I wasn't present at that.
Okay. Any other items? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We've also received accounts payable for April. Drew, do you have any additions than what we've received in our agenda packet?
No, sir.
Mr. Gilmer?
Mayor, do not have any additions. I would ask, there seems to be, that there might be a couple items, Drew, that are ARPA eligible that we haven't identified, and we'll work through that accounts payable to present to our ARPA committee at the next meeting. But I'll move to approve the accounts payable as presented, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
I think those
He did.
beat
It's
her
fine.
by a word. Any further discussion?
Drew, I just, one thing, Mayor. Drew, I just want to make sure that check number 1119-187, Stephanie Construction,
Yes.
make sure that goes on the State Street list. That's for Lower Water.
Mhm. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, same sign. We're pleased tonight to recognize some of our employees. I don't know, okay, well, we'll get him. Okay, Chase will be here in a little while, so,
Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor.
what's good, Kevin?
I had a phone call. It's legal now, ain't it?
I want to, as myself and I'm sure the governing body, for years we've known that we have had one of the best water preparation plants in the Commonwealth. We've been recognized for years, even back in the days when Mr. Short was out there working at the plant. We've received annual awards from the state for, I can't remember, this multiple years. Once again, we have received the Gold Award. This award shows that the Virginia Office of Drinking Water Standards of Excellence were met by the water treatment plant staff for the year 2021. The Lebanon Water Treatment Plant has received the Gold Standard Award in clarification, filtration, and backwash operations. At this time, we'd like, Chris and one of you all to come forward. We'd like to show our appreciation. We have received our certificate, and Chris, I want to thank you very much. We're very proud of you and all the guys that work at our plants. The governing body, we received this, when did we get it, Diane? Bruce? We got it, so there it is. And we want to thank you again, and I'm sure the council may wish to make comments, but we do thank you. We'll give that to you, Chris. We want to thank you again. Let's give them a round of applause. I'll turn it over to the council at this time for your comments.
Guys, I want to thank you. I know both of you have stepped into new roles recently and have had to learn a lot of new things here, keeping up with our standards and making sure we don't misspeak. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate all your hard work and willing to be able to adjust and flow with us with all the changes. Thank you.
I'll just say thanks for stepping up. I know we've recently lost some leadership that's been here for a while. They had years of service for the town. We have some outstanding grants, applications, to the BDH and the DEQ, and we look forward to your future leadership on those projects to update both plans.
Chris, I'd like to thank you and Justin both for being willing to cross-train those two crucial departments in the town. It means a lot for us, for me as a council member to have individuals like you all step up to the plate. But we expect to keep getting those gold awards to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many years in a row have you won this, Justin?
I think 7 or 8, yeah. He can only count all the years he's been here, that's right.
So as long as I've been here, that's how many times I've
I'd like to say thank you too, and I'm sure this is not an easy thing to do because it's a statewide thing, and we have always come through with this award, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, Chris, and stepping up for 2 jobs really for right now, and you, Justin, for your promotion. Thank you for that and for willing to help us.
So all your town residents, you're drinking cleanest water in the state of Virginia.
I'm dependent on that.
Well, And we're ranked and compared with every town and city in the Commonwealth. So it's no small feat, and we appreciate the work every day. But I think, Sean, we want to get a picture of this. Y'all could gather around like you normally do, probably or do you?
Yeah.
Ice coffee.
We'll follow his directions. It's not upside down. Is it? See you guys.
Thank you.
Just as a note to the council, I think Chase missed a long time. He will be here later, and we'll recognize him at that point. All right, under public requests, those folks who were called, Mr. Matt Lindemood. Matt, would you come forward? Matt is part of the group, Lindemood, let's see, Old Mill Ventures.
Old Mill Ventures, yeah.
Yeah, I have to ask you for, we should know that name.
We invite you here in the Nation.
Yeah.
Man.
That's all right, bills in the mail.
So, we appreciate you being here tonight. Again, as we all know, Old Mill Ventures was a successful applicant for the downtown restaurant project. And at this time, Matt, turn it over to you, bud.
So I've got a couple of things on the agenda. One thing, I guess, are some of the receipts for the grant that I brought. You know, just what I've got with me today totals $291,024.52 of money that we spent so far. That doesn't include any money that we spent to secure the parking lot. We kind of ended up in a deal sort of, I don't know if it's free is a term, but, you know, we ended up buying property, splitting a lot off, now it's part of the Old Mill, and then sold one of the properties already, so I wouldn't count that, but as of expenses so far, we still owe Lebanon and Block, you know, we're at $291,024.52. We've got another 150 to 175 that we're estimating that we'll spend before it's all said and done. The, you know, the winning restaurant, so to speak, that we've picked to utilize those grant funds. We feel like we hit a home run with them. They're phenomenal people, they're wonderful. They estimate it's going to take between 70 and 80 people to run the place, so, you know, we'll definitely bring some jobs and really kind of brighten up that area a little bit. Does anybody have any questions for me about the Old Mill at this point, the process, anything that we need to?
I've had the opportunity, man, thank you, to go in there during the day. And from my memory of what the Old Mill interior looks like to what it looks like today, it's a total transformation.
Yeah.
And your guys are working hard. It is going to be, the owners that are coming apparently want every bit of seating space that they can get downstairs and upstairs. But it's going to be absolutely beautiful in there. They've done a great job. Are the folks, Jordan, have they been here? Are they still pumped, excited about coming?
Oh yeah, they're beyond excited. You know, and you know, a testament to the town. They weren't looking at Lebanon when this process really started. They wanted to go to Richlands or Tazewell. You know, he said, look, we looked at the demographics of Lebanon and we didn't know if there was enough people in Lebanon to support the kind of restaurant that we wanted. They came to town and they loved it. They fell in love with the town. You know, they're talking about moving here, making this their home, making the Old Mill their primary venture, and then making Big Stone their satellite venture. So, we've got an apartment that came empty over top of Allstate just at the right time. They're going to go ahead and lease that as a place to stay until they can make some roots here. Yeah, so it's really going to work out good for us.
Works out good everywhere.
Get it over?
They're open by September the 1st. On the communication, we've been saying early fall, you know, September, October. the biggest problem right now is the availability of equipment. You know, we touted the old mill as being ready to go, having all the equipment, but in addition to what we're spending to get the restaurant ready for them, they've got another bill for $235,000 just on all new equipment.
That's their investment.
Yeah, so, it's a significant investment really on both parts. And, you know, and looking back at it, when I first started, I didn't really think about the unique opportunity that the old mill was. But really, it's a little bit too big for your average mom and pop shop, but it's also not what a, you know, Cracker Barrel would look for. So it really took the perfect restaurant to come in and make it happen, and I think the people from Kirkland's have just hit the nail on the head with it.
Did they keep the meeting room in the floor plan, or did they take that out now?
Sort of. They took it out, but we opened it up and added some windows, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna get some thick, heavy vinyl shades, and they're gonna have a way to compartmentalize that off so you could turn it into a meeting space.
They set it up to where they could serve through the windows instead of going through
That's
the
right.
door.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, looks
Yeah.
pretty good.
And it let a lot of light in, you know, before it was kind of dark. You know, I've got some before and after photos on the Facebook page that we've been running, and it has been a tremendous transformation. And there's a lot left to do. They're gonna close in the front porch. There's talks of a rooftop bar going on top, if that's something we can get approved, which would be really cool. Add more seatings, you know, use it for events, something like that.
Kevin had sent you and I, the performance agreement that we had talked about as far as the requirements and the grant, et cetera. I read it, Kevin's read it, and we're leaning on Kevin.
Yeah.
My understanding, you're good with it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Luke's good with it. I sent it to him.
He's good?
He's ready to sign off on it too, yeah.
All right, so before we finish tonight, we need to approve this agreement so we can get you and I to sign it.
Sure.
Go ahead. Now, the other thing,
The other thing that I wanted to, I guess, bring before the town is, you know, in my original plan, you know, I hope that we could work out a deal to have a bridge made over from the park to the old mill. There's an area I think would be great for it. You know, and I don't know logistically if it would be better to do the bridge before the parking lot or vice versa. I've got the quote in hand for the parking lot. It's gonna run about $37,000 to redo it and asphalt it. You know, I would be willing to grant, you know, an easement if we could figure out a way to get that park space connected to, you know, the old mill space. You know, and the plan there is really just, well, I was out of town the other night. The old mill, there were people out in front of it taking pictures for prom, there were people at the park. I mean, I think that area is really, got a lot of value as an event area, not just a restaurant or just the park. You know, I can envision bands out at the park with tables, you know, and a means for people to go back and forth. I mean, I really think that the downtown area could be a venue for all of downtown, and not just for the old mill or just for the park, but should be tied together.
And it would add parking too, to that. Going based on what you said, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna make one comment before I forget it. There has been some preliminary discussion about the bridge. As a matter of fact, the council had talked about this. Actually, it was in our mind before you asked us. I think what we're gonna have to do, I'm just saying from the city council and add in, but I'm thinking somebody like Nathan, we probably need to meet with Scott. I don't know if that's the right, we need an engineer, an architect, make sure we meet all the requirements. And then obviously we're going to have to get an estimated cost.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's my response to that, at this point.
Sure.
I guess my only question in following up with that, is that something the owners are interested in having outdoor kind of events tied in with the restaurant?
Absolutely. They do a lot of that now in Big Stone,
Okay.
and they're hoping to continue that here. And, you know, and I think they're interested in doing it regardless. The bridge is just gonna make it a much smoother, kind of cooler downtown there.
Do you have a preliminary design in mind, Matt? I mean, I hate to bring our guy on board without, I mean, if you have something in mind, or?
Nothing that jumps out at me. I can have something drafted up if you'd like to see kind of what I would have in mind. But I really like the flow and the vibe of the black iron that's there at the fence that's next to my office. I mean, I think something as close to that as we could get, to go across that span would be awesome.
Mr. Tiller had a good point, you know, it keeps the traffic out of the road and makes things safer. And I think Tony, I mentioned to Tony, I think in our original plan or conversations at Old Mill Park, we were, you know, contemplating on putting a bridge across there anyway, you know, to help link up those two.
Sure. It'll be better for the restaurant, and it'll make the park more
In the
usable.
town.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win.
At one time, it wasn't a bridge or anything, that you could go back and forth, it was just, I guess, the creek covered or whatever.
Well, I know,
And I don't know why it was taken out, maybe you might need to find that out.
Probably got flooded.
Flooded, and I thought, yeah,
and Wayne from Kirkland's, they think big, you gotta give them credit. He was like, what if we put some drains through there and just covered the whole area in and just added more parking? I'm like, well, I don't know how big of a job that would be, but, you know, think big. You know, I guess that's how we got stuck spending all the money on redoing the building, but they really are as particular as, well, this is a 36-inch doorway, and you gotta imagine a server with a tray. It would be better if this were a 42-inch doorway. You know, so a lot of the money that we're gonna spend, it's gonna be small changes, you know, that'll be done over and over again. Or he wanted the gas lines routed away to suit a fryer next to where the freezer's gonna be. Because if you think about it, if you're frying food and you turn around, you grab something from the fryer, and you turn back around, he was like, that takes a few seconds, but if you've got to walk 10 feet, and you do that 1,000 times, you know, in the course of a year, you've wasted hours of payroll walking 10 feet.
Yeah.
You know, that's how their minds work, and I think that's why they're successful and why they're gonna be successful.
how do you get upstairs with the food now?
We still have the dumbwaiter, so.
Okay, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you.
Got it set up, so, and they want that opened up so that the cooks basically turn around and then set it on a line that we're gonna build. And then, once you got like a food runner, we'll be sending stuff upstairs, and, it's laid out pretty good.
That new flooring up there is beautiful.
A huge difference.
It's huge difference. It's a total different environment in there.
It really is.
It's brighter, it's everything.
And we'd love to invite anybody to come by and see it as we're working on it. I mean, it's been, you know, the original plan was we'll rip up the carpet, we'll change the floors, you know, we'll spend $25,000 or $30,000 to get it ready to go, and now it's just kind of transformed and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. But I think it needed to. And I think so far everything we've done has been stuff that's needed to be done.
Obviously, we've been excited for a long time, and we certainly appreciate your all's actual financial investment as well as the Kirkland owners'
Sure.
investment to the town. Any other comments or questions for Matt while we have him here?
No, I'd just like to thank you, Matt, because that being successful is as important to all of us as it is to you. I know you've got a substantial investment in it, but the $50,000 grant that we put up as a town, that's a small percentage of what's taking place down there. So I just want to thank you, number one. I'd like to thank them, number two, so when they're back in town, I'd like to meet them.
Sure.
But it looks like all the pieces to the puzzle are starting to fall in place, and I don't, just from my standpoint, I don't have any problem partnering with you, you know, with that easement, with a nice historic looking walkway to join the two parking lots. I think it's just an asset to the town and Kirkland and yourself.
Yeah.
Matt,
Sorry, go ahead.
so we can take care of this tonight and get this approved, this performance agreement. And item number 3, it was left open, the days per week and the hours of operation. Do you have those, I mean, conservatively, that we can go ahead and put in that and approve the agreement tonight?
Very conservatively, you could say 7 days a week for 9 hours a day. They're open until 11 on most nights, 9 o'clock on Sunday.
And if we need to revisit it, we can revisit it.
Yeah, I think you'd be very conservative with that.
Give me an open and close the time. If you were guessing.
11 to 10. 11
11 to 10?
o'clock close. They're open later than that on weekends, but just to be conservative.
That being said, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the performance agreement between the Town of Lebanon and Old Mill Ventures as presented.
I'll
No,
second.
second.
Any further discussion?
And he'll be able to draw those funds down once both parties sign the
Yes.
agreement, Mayor.
Yes. That's why, problem with it, what I would do, Matt, is get with Drew with those,
I can lead you through now.
and then y'all come up, whatever that, grant total is,
You know, and I'll say that the town has been absolutely amazing to deal with. Drew, I mean, if it's taking him more than 5 minutes to get back to me, that's been a long time. If we need the dumpster dumped or anything like that, I mean, it's happened within minutes. I mean, so the town has been absolutely phenomenal to work with. You know, and I hope that we have, you know, for me, this wasn't about the money. You know, I mean, it was more about doing something good for the town, and, you know, we had other options that would have been much easier leases to sign, and we could have just been signed and been done with them and had something in there sooner, but, you know, I feel like we really did, you know, laid out for the best possible tenant, and, you know, I think, you know, at this point, honestly, I think it was meant to be. I think everything that happened was meant to happen the way it did.
Indeed. We have a motion and a second. Did we vote on that, Diane? Did we get everything to discuss? I mean, are we ready? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, same side. Matt, if you come forward, please, sir. Get you signed. Let's see. Dang. So, Kevin, have we got that in your agenda? You should have it.
Yeah.
Look at that signature page for me. Yes. Which one does, it says duly authorized member.
I think Matt, you've got to be a sign authority.
Okay, so on his name, right?
Yeah, the sign your name.
Yes, sir.
And you'd sign underneath, I guarantee it.
So the top one is for Olmo Ventures, and the bottom one is for me.
You personally.
Yeah.
And then Luke will need to sign personally as well.
I'm gonna give you a copy of that before you leave.
Great.
If you get Luke to sign, okay?
And I'll get these to Drew.
These copies of what we've done so far.
All right. Thank you again, man. Appreciate it. Good luck with everything, and keep in touch with us. You know, I'll be down there.
And follow it, for those of you on Facebook, follow the Facebook page. We're putting some updates on there. We've got, Kirkland's is working on a new amended menu. They're gonna add a few more steaks for us.
All right.
So pretty excited about that. Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Appreciate your hard work.
Okay, Adam, the next time there's Miss Kaiser, Melissa with Big Rig Showdown. She texted me this afternoon. And there's basically 4 questions. Doyle has, if we all know, Doyle worked with this Big Rig Showdown and the Kaisers a lot last year to bring this to town. And as we know, in West Sewell, they've expanded it to Friday, so it's a Friday and Saturday event. I think Mr. Leonard has been working with them, and Doyle, don't let me speak out of turn, but I think there's a chance you're not gonna be in town that weekend. So, there's some items that they requested, which I think, if you could, I'd like Elijah and I to work with the Kaisers, and then bring that list back and update you on what they're wanting. Well, like, if you remember last year, we had to close the government center earlier, and had to get equipment moved. They need all available space, every space out there, Friday and Saturday. We need to get with Tammy on Farmers Market Day. Just basically won't have a farmer's market on this Saturday.
Or if we have a, mentioned with Scott earlier, we were on the phone and we have an option to relocate there temporarily, we can possibly do that. But as long as we give them ample time, I think it would be a big challenge.
Yeah, sure. Tammy work around an option. As I mentioned, getting, and a lot of this will be working, I'm glad Kevin's here. We'll be working, he worked with us last year, Mr. Ferguson out at the conference center about we need there's a lot of government vehicles in there, Kevin. If you remember, we had to relocate them. They park around back.
Yeah.
So basically to clear that whole space. And then obviously parking, I suggested that she talk to Mr. Dickinson about the property next to Wendy's. And also, there's about 8 acres sitting flat land right behind the government center. So that's owned by the IDA, and I told her, we'll work with her on that. So it's a big event for the citizens. A lot of, it's an event for folks of interest that we've not provided before. People have their own interest. Those trucks, to me, how they have spent the money on those trucks and shut those big show rigs. And I remember being out when they went through and did the lot, and they lit all the trucks up. For those of us that live in town, I live right there on Main Street, so I got to see them all. But it was something to see them come through lit up. I mean, it was something else to see. So, moving forward, I work with, I guess Kevin will have to work with you and Brother Lonzo. And if it's agreeable with council, for Elijah and I to work with the Kaisers and report back as we go. Is everybody agreeable with that?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, Angie Carpenter. What are you up to now, Angie?
Well, I had an idea. Lord. So I'm wanting to do an art event in my parking lot, and I had called and talked to Drew for just a second about it. I want to do a sidewalk chalk decorating contest thing and kind of have people take space in the parking lot and have the age groups and maybe group categories for it and have like a whole big Saturday of it. And I know chalk sounds very dirty. It's going to create a mess, but I've already called John Michael, and he said the fire department would be willing to come and clean up afterwards if the town would donate water. And I wanted to ask too, if we have a whole lot of entries, can I extend it to the sidewalk?
Well, I'm fortunate to have had 2 grandsons mark on chalk, mark on our sidewalks, mark on our pavement. You do know you can get the kind of chalk that will just wash off.
Yeah.
That's the kind of chalk you need to get.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
We will.
Okay, all right. And this is on a Saturday?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it sooner, but I think I'm going to plan it for July, because July doesn't have as many events as the rest of the month. So
That's a good idea.
I want to do it in July.
July would be good, after the 4th.
Yeah, and I was planning on having the news come because I want to do it as a community art thing too and get the schools and the art classes involved.
We did it the weekend before school.
Well, when's our beach party?
13th,
So
August.
And that's the same.
That's the Saturday before school starts next year.
It's the Saturday, it will be, school will start,
Who does start that next Monday?
yeah.
you know, I mean, I'll do it whenever, I don't care.
I
As long as it's my birthday.
I just want to
I think
have a
something-
population.
I think something in June, July would be good. School will start, our art event is 13th, school will probably start about the 11th, I think. I mean, I haven't seen that.
When is the big rig thing? Because it was on my birthday last year.
It is, it's July the 29th through 30th.
29th and 30th.
Friday, Saturday, 30th is already. You could do it the 9th, 16th, and 23rd of July.
Whichever, if there's any, I'll just pick one and let it during there.
Well, I'm gonna wait to see what the council says before I say okay.
Oh, and also I would want to block the street off beside my store, because we would have a lot of children and I would not want anybody to get run over.
What street?
The one that
They're
goes right
into the
beside.
parking lot?
Yeah, the middle of the parking lot, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Does the owner, I'm just curious, does the owner of the parking lot okay with you doing that? He doesn't care, okay. All
I
right.
pay a lot of rent.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Angie? So what's the council's pleasure?
I think we need to do this and let her do the planning and just get back with it, what we need to do.
Turns you loose. Is that a motion?
That's it.
Is there a second? Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Good job. Thanks, Angie, for, the man who'll do that, just walked in.
He doesn't know what he has to do though.
He does.
You don't mind that? So just get with Drew and set up.
Drew will set it up with you,
Okay, awesome.
Billy and Chase.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Chase, good to see you. Thanks for coming in again, buddy. For those who are on the sign-up sheet, we have an employee that we need to recognize at this time. We want to recognize. Mr. Campbell had, I believe he has come to aid with folks more than once, which is a testament to his caring for people. But we had an incident where, long story short, a dog got loose near a mother with her child. I reckon Chase basically tackled the dog to get it away from the child. And had, it was probably,
It was actually a dog, not a child.
yeah, it probably, yeah, I know, but who was walking the dog though?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So we now have we want to thank him for his work and response to helping folks in this community. So Chase, if you come forward and read this resolution, please. Hi, Ms. Campbell. That right there, Ms. Campbell. You done forgot me, girl?
No.
I thought you had to wake you up back there. How you been? All right, Chase, come up here, little buddy. Expressing the consensus of the mayor and the Lebanon Town Council regarding the actions of Stephen B. Chase Campbell. Whereas Mr. Campbell was working on April 2022, and whereas while mowing he witnessed a lady being attacked by a dog, whereas Mr. Campbell rushed to the citizens' aid, and whereas Mr. Campbell freed the woman from the dog being bitten himself, and whereas the citizen was injured, but the situation could have been much worse if not for the actions of Mr. Campbell. Therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and the members of the town council that our town employee, Mr. Stephen B. Chase Campbell, be hereby commended for his valiant physical and moral courage. I'd like to have a motion to approve this resolution.
I make that motion and we want to, well, this will be in, I'll say this later.
Is
I'll
there,
make the motion.
is there a second? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. If y'all could gather around again. Sean? Drew, can you help us here on the buddy? Wheels on that thing. Let's see, man.
We do need
Just
to
good
wheel
right
on
here.
that thing.
Feels familiar? pictures? Are you good?
I record.
You got it?
Yeah.
Would you like to take a picture with it?
Why don't you come up here?
Go on.
Come on. Let's go. We need a vote on this. Need somebody to take her pic? Yeah. You got some here, Drew? You can do it. Yeah. If we can get her up here, Missy. There you go, now. Y'all be smiling.
1, 2.
Congratulations again.
Oh,
Drew's at it selfie, guys.
Guess what? You're gonna do it again because Drew had on video. Y'all get around, man.
Hey, Josh, Coach,
What'd you do, Drew? Forget to punch button?
me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
1, 2.
You sure?
Get that on there.
Okay. You got halfway there.
Yeah, we got it.
Appreciate it. No, I just screenshot that.
Chase would be a great time to ask for a raise.
Drew, one more time, move that thing back to the middle. Chief, the muscles on the chief right
Just from
That's a best player.
Oh,
We'll send that to the town shop tomorrow.
that's right, tell Andy. Okay, Miss Kelly McBride. Kelly.
Good evening.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for letting me talk to you for a minute. I've given each of you a copy of the quarterly report I've been trying to do to keep you apprised of what's happening, and a copy of the summer reading rack card that we're going to be getting distributed to the schools. Appreciate the town. You guys, Shane has told us we can use space, because when we did our planning, you know, we try to get everything set by the 1st of March, and not knowing how things were going to go. Most of our big programs are outdoors. And hey, why not get kids outdoors anyway? So, just wanted to keep you apprised. If you have any questions, I did submit a request for funding, asking for a little bit more in the coming year, and hope that y'all can help us out somehow. But we appreciate your support and are happy to be here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you. Randy? Mr. Burke?
Y'all know I love you now, so
Okay.
I want us to stay this way. I'm not there to growl. I do have some questions, I guess, and concerns. Y'all know we do a drug and alcohol ministry, and we love those people like there's nobody else. My concern is I've heard different things about what's going in the old, front of the old winter peak. I've heard some boxing clinic, and I got a real problem with that. Not with Suboxone. Suboxone, if it's used right, it's good. Now, let me tell you what 15 years of us, and I'd say the chief can say this is true. We've seen people, and they'll say, well, they're finally tapering me off my Suboxone. I said, Artie, yeah, well, how long have you been on it? Well, 12 years. Well, God bless them. It's a cash crop. Go over at Abington and watch the Watauga Clinic, because they'll come in there with pain management, they'll come in there with something completely different. And get their foot in the door, and you can't get rid of them. And it's all Suboxone, and it's just, but they could care, I won't say those words, about the people that's coming in there. We looked them up online, and it says that you go in, you might see somebody, and you might not. You may just talk to somebody on a video, then they'll give you a prescription, and you get on out the door. Everybody says, well, Suboxone, that's good, you know, they're not getting high on Suboxone. I beg to differ. You can get high. If you couldn't get high on Suboxone, why is 12% of the contraband that's took into the prisons Suboxone? You can overdose on Suboxone. I talked to Joe Jones about it when I was taking substance abuse counseling, and he said, you can't do it. I said, Joe, just pay attention, check and see. And he come back, shook my hand, and said, man, I'm sorry. As long as I've been doing this, I didn't know you could OD and get high on it. He said, I just thought they felt normal. So I don't know what's going on over there. That's what I've heard going over there. We're going to continue to help anybody we can. I don't have a problem with going to the Laurels and get it, because they can get it and the Laurels will paper them off. Plus, it's right beside the Glenn's.
Yeah.
It's right beside the kids' thing. Do we want that? I'm not saying they're bad people. They're good people that made bad choices. Guess what? I made a whole lot of bad choices in my life. A whole lot. I won't make them anymore. Well, I make bad choices, but not the same guy. They made bad choices. They're not bad folks. They made bad choices, and it takes over their head. And you're having them out here like that, it takes over their head. Like I said, if you don't think it's real, go over to Abingdon, right behind Main Street thing there, it's where Dr. McCary's office used to be, or Harvey's office used to be. And they will line up around that building at 6 o'clock, going in there. And it's all cash, or they said they'll take, but this one takes credit cards and Medicaid and all that good stuff, they take your insurance. People, we don't want this in our town. I love this town. We don't want, I love every addict out there. I was in the Laurels the other day, when I wasn't supposed to be, trying to help somebody out. I will do whatever I got to do to help anybody get off that stuff. The reason we're trying to do with the Art Marrows is we got to get ahead of it. It's a whole lot easier to close skating than these cows up. We've got to get ahead of this thing. I don't think this is helping us. They need to have it, it's not regulated enough. The government does not regulate it enough. It's not what everybody, oh, I said, how many wrecks says the wraparound Cedar Bluff and stuff because of the methadone clinic up there? I mean, it's the same thing. It's turning one drug for another one. It's a synthetic heroin. It's what methadone is. It's just like, we've had people, she's had people in the jail. She goes into jail and does chapel. And the girls just told her time after time. You know, it's easier for me to come off heroin. It's easier for me to come off meth than it is to come off Suboxone. And like I said, I don't know. I've tried to ask around. A lot of people that should know told me that's what was going in there. I seen an ad for people looking for a job today in that very career. So, I mean, I'm a little ignorant, but I don't think I'm ignorant enough not to figure out what's going in there. And I'm just begging y'all to stop it.
Well, Randy, I don't think that, we agree with a lot of your concerns, because we've had, this probably will make the fourth one. It's already here. And I will yield to our attorney. We've fought this battle before. We've tried to. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Tiller and to our chief of police. The lady is, I think, if I understood, she called and they anticipate opening in June or July. She is planning to come to the council meeting in June to talk about, to let you know they're new in town. She's bringing information to that meeting. So she'll be here at our June meeting.
What they said,
Second
I'll
Monday.
be here.
I'll
take the day off from information.
It'll be the 13th.
It's that important. And they said, somebody said, well, we can't tell them what they're going to prescribe and what they don't prescribe, and I understand that. But I bet that's, and that's the B word, I don't know what it is.
I'm gonna let Kevin.
I mean, the town has some limitations in place on administering methadone.
It's not methadone, it's
Suboxone. The problem is essentially what you have is a doctor's office that specializes in Suboxone. And if they're licensed by the state, the town has, restrictions on what can be administered. But, I mean, there's not a whole lot the town can do to prevent them if they're a lawful business from putting their business in a commercial zone.
Well, you can't sell alcohol within so close to a church or so close to a.
Well, yeah, if you're licensed, you can.
Okay.
If you're licensed,
I mean, I don't know,
yeah.
but I think, that's right, butted right up against it.
I mean, like
One
I
of the
said,
people that works over in that building said, I've never locked my car a day in my life in Lebanon. It will be locked. I said, you're not bad folks. I just don't agree with what the way they're going to get to do this. This is not a proven way to help people.
I don't disagree with you. In fact, I do agree with you. But again, as far as the town, essentially it's a doctor's office. That's essentially what it is. It's a doctor's
And that's
office.
what we're gonna find out on the 13th.
Well, I'll be
Okay.
there on Thursday.
Chief, what kind of experiences are we, I mean, do we patrol these areas, and are we gonna be, I mean, this is on Main Street here, what's our presence in this?
We do, and obviously anytime that you have that come in, you're gonna have an influx of traffic and parking and walking, and that's gonna, I've personally seen what Randy's talking about with other clinics, that they do line up, and that's gonna create some wandering about, and so I'll talk with Mr. Short, and we're gonna increase patrols, have heavy patrols. I'll probably assign foot patrol in the parking lot, at least for the first couple months. I mean,
Okay.
We'll do everything we can to keep a good eye on it, but you know as well as I do, criminal wants to do it. They're gonna find a way, but we will do everything in our power to keep it as controlled as best as we can.
Is that supposed to be counseling also? At
They'll
the
line you
same
up with
time?
counseling.
Pardon?
They will line you up with counseling.
Okay, and then a doctor has to be there, present, in order, all these people come out with a prescription, there has to be a doctor
A
there.
doctor has to prescribe Suboxone.
But they have to be there.
I don't know, I don't know what the state law is as far as the doctors physically having to be present when they write a prescription. I don't know.
What's the word on that, Scott?
I would think not.
I don't think so.
I can call my doctor and say I need a prescription called in, they call me one in.
Yeah, I think you can still see a physician remotely. And it's
Well,
available.
that's what it says, you can watch it on, you can talk to them
Now-
online.
That is a controlled drug, I know that, so there's gonna be a lot of federal law on
There
what,
will be.
how, the level of interaction between a doctor and the patient.
And
But
I think we'll know a lot
Against that,
more,
I don't know.
Rand, here in a month, because, she asked to come, so I welcome her to come, because I knew there would be questions. And,
That gives me a month to get some of these lazy people off their stuff that won't come out here that I talk to, that if they don't concern your gun,
And that's the
you ain't
ones that
worried
he
about.
stole from me.
I like my gun too, but I'm worried about what's going on, our kids.
That's it.
And no, we can't, and I'll be back Thursday,
All right.
so I can get it all for it.
thank you, Randy.
I come in late to get side of mouth speak.
Larry, come on up here. You got 2 minutes.
2 minutes, all right.
I'm just go ahead.
We don't think of that. What do we do here for? We've got
Where
5.
the old mama might be.
The drugstore is But I know several years ago, I wasn't here when they talked about bringing that down here. I was opposed to it, and the county council, or county council, voted against it, voted down, just wanted to control it. Now, I want to ask Kevin about the Dillon Grove. Could we not, through the Dillon Grove, pass an ordinance? An ordinance can be passed as long as there's a state law. We get a pass an ordinance that says
Because
that
I
a doctor has to
people
be
all
out
the
before they
time waiting on
prescribe.
their prescription,
If you have a
walking,
state law.
and they've been
that says
upstairs.
that,
All right, there's a state law, I'm not sure that state law, but you might want to look to see if there's anything you can do under the Dillon Grove that you can pass ordinance above and beyond what the state got, as long as there's some state guidelines. So I'm not sure about that, that's above my pay grade, but I'll ask you
And
to
I
think about
know
that.
The Dillon rule
to
says
run
that the
some
town
off
can
that stole
only
down my store.
legislate to the extent that
They
the
don't come
general
back
assembly
till I'm
gives
off.
the authority. Right. So as far as licensing for a doctor, I don't think that the town would be able to go above what the state requires.
I just wondered if you could put an ordinance saying they have to be in place. Now, that's the only question I asked. I would like to make this one statement. I've got a personal relationship with methadone, not me personally, but my family. I had my sibling, one of my oldest brothers, 5 children. It's either 4 or 5 children, lost count. They went to methadone clinic. They all got their fix. They were going back home, got stopped by Russell County before they went to Russell County, or to Russell County. Brought her back to jail. The second son down, too intoxicated to be locked up, That two lock, where actually locked him up, he was still talking, they assigned him to intoxicate, to sign himself in. He lays there and dies in the jail. Rest of them were tore all to pieces, because he took his medicine. They gave him a lockbox the weekend, so he took all of that medicine, took his brother's medicine. Don't tell me I've got a problem. I've given this free drugs for the medicine. We need to get the kids off this stuff. But when you get the people your family killed because of stupidity, because we get a cash cow, somebody wants to make some money, that's all it is. It's a money-making racket, nothing to that. And I really want the county, the town in this case, to do everything you can to find out if there's anything you can put some restrictions to it. You do have the ordinance on methadone already in place from one time. I guess it's still there. And we should apply for that, come off that one, do something with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay. All right, going to item 9 under a new business. This is a resolution for Spectrum Southeast. Is that a charter agreement? What that is?
That's, Kevin, you want to talk to him about that? That's that
I reviewed the contract, yeah.
Cable Plus is selling to Spectrum.
That's right.
So it's a franchise agreement.
Franchise agreement.
Yeah, it's franchise agreement, basically. You all granted Cablevision a franchise a number of years ago, and I think they've sold out or want to sell out. Is that right, Drew?
Yes.
And it just basically says that that same franchise will carry over, which I think is what it is. Do they even do business in town?
They used to do some out on the east end of town. I don't know if they still do or not now.
No problem.
So Kevin, is that something we need to approve tonight, I guess?
They're requesting that. I don't see any harm. I think it's carry over anyway.
Yeah, because we already have one in place. This is just changing the name.
And again, I
Some
really,
girls,
I
they
don't
were
know
stealing
that it's
everywhere, they were
required
stealing all
again.
in every county. And, I called the town and they come out and
I think that's sort of the
they come back and I told them I had them on video, which I didn't, I don't have video. But I run them off, I told them they couldn't come back in my store, I didn't appreciate that.
Kevin, if Cable Plus is the lien on their current business license, can we approve this resolution?
Well, I guess it's not for Cable Plus, but it's for, what's the name of it? Spectrum Southeast, a different company. Are they current on their current business license?
They go for the 2022.
Is it still, is it, how it's doing now? or what's
Yes.
Bad stuff in town, like I've never had anything stole from
Is
outside.
this company buying in
My
now?
picnic tables ain't got a blemish on it where anybody has marked on and
Well,
nothing.
then, does those taxes pass on to the company that's buying it?
The taxes wouldn't,
I
no.
don't ever worry about being out there by myself.
I'd like us to make sure that both parties are in good standing with the town before we approve this agreement.
Have they applied for a business license, Spectrum?
No.
But you're technically not doing business yet, are you?
No, but Cablevision is. Right?
I guess, yeah.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, Cable Plus has been, but they're typically 2 and 3 years behind, and when they need their agreement updated, they pay all the business license at one time.
Cable things are over.
Well, okay, well, to Scott's point then, we don't approve this tonight
Correct.
until both parties are in good standing.
Correct. They currently owe,
Okay.
Cable Plus currently owes for 2022.
That's good. I'm good with that. Do we need to, does that need a motion, Kevin, or not? Let Drew handle it.
Are you, if you want to approve the franchise conditioned on both parties having paid their business license, I guess you can do it that way if you want to.
Say to that, Scott.
Well, it'd have to be amended, right? Would it have to be amended to say that?
Well, I'm good to approve this resolution contingent both parties are in good standing with the town. So that would require a business license for Spectrum and pay overdue dues or fees for Cable Plus.
And if they aren't,
Then he didn't sign.
yeah.
Right.
I'll put that in the motion, Mayor.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
How long you gonna give them to pay up?
Well, we just don't sign it, so they're in good standing.
And then somebody
I'm
bought
gonna
it.
bet if
That's
he
on
won't,
them.
I'm gonna bet if he won't set property sold, he'll settle it pretty
That's what
quick.
it said the buyers to
Mhm.
make sure.
Anyway, it's on them.
And here it even states that there are no defaults. Number 2 says that there are no defaults under the franchise.
We gonna get you one?
So they would have to pay it before it would go into effect anyway.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
He's on one side aisle, Mayor.
Who, Scott?
I did.
Did everybody say aye? Ready? Elijah?
Yes, sir. Yes, you. Can we roll call?
No, I don't do a roll call. Okay. Y'all, hang on just a second. Miss Diane, come up here a minute, please. What is that? No, I don't think, skip the next item, because there's nothing tacked on, okay? Is that correct? Drew?
I was in the same boat you were.
Good to go. Okay, it's time for summer help. Parks and Recreation, summer help, what do we need to do there, Drew? And we'll meet the other evening. These 3 people go up top. That's the interview for summer help. If you make a motion.
Do we need more?
This is lifeguard. We got another bunch for the moment stuff.
Yeah, those are for the lifeguards, and we did have an advertisement put in the paper this week.
But are we ready tonight to hire the summer help, not the lifeguards?
Yes,
I got the application right here.
yeah, we're gonna go in closed session. talk
Okay,
about
we're not
lifeguards.
ready to do,
But
you want to go ahead and do the lifeguards?
You are ready for the
I
lifeguards.
do one at a time for all 3 of them.
If you wanna recommend Iron, you can do it.
Yeah, it says Parks and Recreation on it.
I
Okay,
guess if you wanna make the motion to hire them, or somebody wants to separate them, they
I'll just give her names. I make a motion to hire Alex Decker, Caitlin Gray, and Alden Miller for lifeguards and summer help at the rec center.
Second.
we have a second, a motion and a second. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, now, Point Broadband, something we've talked about for a while. You now have a contract. Kevin, are you and Drew good with this contract?
can. I'll look it over, yes, sir.
Drew?
Yes, sir.
And it's met all the contingencies upon receiving the ARPA funds, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Was it, what did it, 4 months or 5 months? Was it 5?
I think we're at 9, Scott.
Everyone, I assume, has had a chance to read the
This won't do that.
contract for Point Broadband to bring fiber services for Lebanon citizens through the utilization of the ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan funds. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Drew, is this draft the same as the previous draft?
The only thing I would add was under number 4, I have the June,
Okay.
ARPA funds.
Thank you, Drew.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Mr. Short, you're up. Yeah, we have to. Legal person. Hey, Drew.
Good evening. First item on our, my manager's report is a gentleman from Social Service who contacted Diane about that fundraiser they talked about before. He asked me to find out exactly what that was about. They're asking us for us to use the farmer's market area for a fundraiser for a White Christmas program for the elderly in nursing homes. So that's what that is for. So they're asking basically just to use that location and then for the forgiveness of the water. that they use.
Do you know when?
Did he ever set a date, Ms. Diane, on that?
He has not, he's
I
just
think
said,
it's
once
just
it
seeing if
got
it's possible first and then set one up.
Just one, or do you think there's a possibility he might need two?
Different dates, he's just talked about one so far.
Fundraiser to assist a White Christmas program for the elderly in the nursing home. Okay. What's council's pleasure?
I say we let them do it.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second. Did somebody do it?
I think Brad jumped there.
That's okay. Brad.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Okay, Drew.
Okay, the second thing, I did some research on the school crossing, the lights we talked about out here, that Mr. Deanna talked about. I talked with Jeff Buchanan. He said he thinks the main reason they were took down to begin with 25 mile per hour is because it's already a 25 mile per hour zone, so it doesn't change to that during school hours. He said we can put up, the catch-22, if we can put up school crossing zones that have lights, you have to have permission from VDOT before we can do this. The town would have to purchase them, and we cannot use VDOT urban maintenance if it has anything with the school on it. But what you can get are just the pedestrian crossing flashing signs without having the school word on it, and that would be eligible for VDOT urban maintenance.
Could the school system provide that?
You can collaborate with the schools if you wanted to, get with Russell County Schools and see if they'd be interested in collaborating with those.
Do you know the cost of those?
They're around somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 a piece. They're solar. The majority of ones being built foundry.
So we need them like at the school and they
The
feel.
main thing I was thinking about here at the primary school, that crosswalk that's used
Middle
quite
school,
a bit. Yeah,
the elementary
the
school?
middle school, and elementary school, going over to the Baptist church.
If we did just pedestrian crossing, that's covered under VDOT.
Yes.
We don't have to
You
pay
can do
for
it.
them.
Well,
It's just-
out
You
of
could use
urban
their
maintenance.
money.
Out of our, yeah.
Yes.
But if we add school to it.
Once you put school in it, it changes up a little bit because he's had the issue with, he said it's a little gray area there because some people have tried to do some school bus stuff for the town and this and that, so they've pretty well done away with anything that's school related, being used for state street money.
But we can say pedestrian crossing.
Pedestrian crossing.
And make sure they're
and slow
flashing during
flashes.
school hours.
Yes.
Jeff, cut them on and off if you use them for pedestrians.
I would imagine they have a photo cell on, if I was guessing, because they're solar powered. So it's
Timers.
like a photo, dusted on photo cell, when it's dark, they probably light up.
That work wouldn't be.
I think they just definitely need something because.
Right.
Once your first shift for school, we'll pay for the lights. If you don't, we'll get the solar light, the pedestrians.
So if you want the school to be involved in it, we want to say school.
But I want you to go see them and see if they will, if they don't, we might put the pedestrians in. That's my opinion, what do y'all think?
What would be the difference though? I mean, the school, it would be just flashing when they were in session?
The whole difference in that is it has the word school on it,
The difference is who's paying.
who funds it.
Okay.
And VDOT will fund it out of our State Street if it doesn't say school. Once it says school, the town and the schools would have to go together and purchase.
But it is something we need as a town. And it is something our citizens are gonna benefit from
Sure.
as a town.
Drew, did VDOT recommend these?
Ms. Deanna brought these up.
I know, but when you, I mean,
Jeff didn't really have a problem with it. He just said you do have to have permission from VDOT to put them up before you put them up, but no, he didn't have for or against them. I can work on some quotes both ways, and I'll talk to the schools, see if they have any interest in it. Get back with you.
Because they're not handling that school crossing, we're covering that school crossing. Our officers there.
We'd like to have their money, put signs up on. When we do.
I think so. If you have any questions on that, I'll get some quotes ready for you all on those. In the packet there, I had Shane work up a Cedar Fest truck and vendor chart. Little map there. Cedar Fest, he's got the areas that he plans on putting those trucks. And down on Mike Akers' property, he said we'd back those up, so those apartments, make sure those apartments had a way out behind those food trucks.
Well, then at the apartment complex, he let us put some food trucks in there.
Good, no, he said, I hadn't talked to Mike yet, we'll see, but Shane's talked about moving them far enough that they can get out behind them and use that one-way street, so we don't have them blocked in.
Well, they're not gonna be butt up against their home, are they?
You're talking about to the east end of the parking lot, correct?
So they have, yeah.
So they get in that to their house, to the
Well,
apartment.
mine has them right here against their house. Is this not those?
No, right down here is what.
Okay, I'm backwards.
Okay, yeah, those are-
I'm backwards, okay, yeah, sorry.
Can I ask a question about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Shane had messaged me about other vendors, but it was during Tux Week, and I have not got back with him because it was a nightmare. Are y'all wanting to do additional vendors that sell stuff, or is that the way I understood him? Because he wanted me to get a list to send, and I wasn't sure, because I really haven't had time to.
Yeah, this is
Come
what
here.
he wants.
You want this?
No, well, he can send it to me. He just sent me a text and said, hey, you have vendors.
You already got one?
That's what, we want vendors, we wanna make it larger, so we want vendors, people there selling things.
So where would they be?
Up on the middle school.
The top of middle school.
Top of the middle school.
In the grass or on pavement? Because the vendors are gonna want to know that.
It's like the fourth, along that sidewalk.
Well, and he was thinking about on the sidewalk from the rally stage up into to the doors.
Okay,
Is where he was kind of thinking, so it probably level.
okay. City Fest is 10th and 11th of June. I'll give him a list of people who normally set up to sell stuff, and I just haven't had time, because it's been palm season,
Right.
you know.
There's only been 2 problems in the last week or 2.
What?
How's the beauty pageant coming?
I've had 20-some forms picked up.
Good.
Has this been printed?
All ages.
No, this
No,
is
it's
just
okay.
his idea.
Yeah, all ages.
And he was just wanting to know
It's
our
about
idea.
even with
Is
the
this
numbers right
something that
now.
we want to be put out?
And I've had people call and ask when they could come pick them up, and I'm like, anytime. So.
I wouldn't do that.
That's called,
Oh, he's looking at it.
It just said,
But I see.
Oh, he's looking at it, I ain't looked at it
The
yet.
same
There's
thing
a
is-
typo.
Is there gonna be food trucks in my parking lot?
Yes,
Okay. Because usually, I mean, there has been every year, so.
right.
Back in the back part.
We're kind of spreading them out. a little bit.
That's an old
Okay.
man.
I think there's 12.
It don't matter to me, we're gonna be busy as crap anyhow.
That's the whole, that's the whole reason we're setting it up is for her, right? Yeah. Mr. Doty, where is our entertainment?
Tell people not buy from you.
2 days?
Huh?
Tell people not buy from you.
Oh my Lord, last year, it was a never-ending line of people. It never stopped till we ran out. Like, never stopped.
Where are they gonna be?
I think my feet still hurt from that.
Well, we
Yeah,
probably
multi-million dollar business
I
owner.
mentioned
Huh?
it, Mayor.
Multi-million dollar business.
I would say that was gonna be Mayor, which would be Willow.
I mean,
Because we,
I can get rid of no way.
we, Will is probably.
I give way too much crap.
Selling stuff.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
And also, we met with a couple of days that are interested in getting a September fall festival started. They're gonna be at the June meeting, talk about it a little more, but then Shane and I met with them today, actually the owners of the Mark on Main,
Okay.
and they actually have what was the peddler food truck you mentioned?
Blended peppers.
The Blended Peddler is actually going to be at their location for Cedar Fest. So they're going to be there.
Oh, okay.
All right, now, you went over two things there. That first one, right on by,
Is like
a September
fall
festival?
Yeah, they're interested in, like I said, they'll be here in June to talk about it more. They're just weighing their options. They have a child with cancer.
Okay.
September is Childhood Cancer Awareness.
Gotcha.
So they're interested in having
Okay.
a small festival here at the park.
All right.
So they'll be here June to
Okay.
talk about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then are you all good with that chart? with
I
the
have
food
one
trucks?
question. Right now, we have 12 trucks,
Yes.
and his diagram allows for all 12 of those trucks.
Mhm.
Is he anticipating any more? Because it says a lot 3 would be for overflow.
Just, yeah, I think that's just in case some confirm that haven't already.
Okay.
They know where they're at. I don't know if he's anticipating any more or not. But are you all good with that chart where that layout's at, so I can let Shane know to put them in that area?
And then can you also let him know that this is good? I mean, as long as that typo is taken care of.
All right, now, at the Parks and Rec Committee, did we not talk about some of the food trucks being up at the bus lane at the middle school?
It was an option.
We talked about it, it's too far to walk.
Okay.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
All right,
Like this.
move on, Drew.
Okay.
Looks like number 13 may have to be up here.
The event barricades, Abington is good, still good with letting us borrow theirs. I reached out to Tyler Nensel this morning, see if they'd be interested in selling the ones they let us borrow. He said they had a director that decided that Abington didn't want to host any more events, so they're getting rid of all their event stuff and barricades, and they sold a bunch of them, but now they decided they want to keep them. So he said anytime you want to borrow them, they'll let it borrow if they're not interested in selling it.
Okay,
You're borrowing anyway.
very good. So we borrow, we're good for Cedar Fest.
Cedar Fest, yeah, we are good.
So, are we good?
To get those for Cedar Fest?
No, or do we have enough? See, if we're gonna,
Do you think there's enough there? From
When I called Chief Holbrook, he said that the trailer we used last time was parked where we dropped it last time. So if we were good last time, it's the same trailer.
we talked about putting up the railing where we had cones though last year, Eric, in our last Parks and Rec meeting. You know, we felt like the cones wasn't much of a barrier at times, you know, people just set up. And the mayor had mentioned that maybe in part of our contracts that we allow a certain space for the artists to sell their merchandise.
Right.
And we thought about, you know, maybe, you know, over towards Mike Akers' building there, that we would, you know, section off some of that and be able to use that railing. But so are we looking at possibly purchasing some and using avenues? Do you want to go ahead and make a purchase of, you know, I don't know, whatever they think would authorize the chief and Drew?
You're just let Drew get what he can under his limit.
We also have those new orange ones as well. I know you don't want, for the looks of stuff to get, but better than cones anyway, you can have those orange barricades.
Well, another thing too, the town of Marion has offered for us to use any of their equipment. They
Oh, really?
on it too. Chief Clare told me that we could use any of their stuff anytime we want.
That's our buddy we can call, Drew.
If you
That's my
if you want to reach out to
friend.
him first.
Call the mayor up there.
Sounds good.
Free, too. I like that word, free. All right, thanks.
They might want a free ticket to Cedar Fest though.
Oh, yeah. Well, he'll get one.
You're taking them from tickets, bro.
The last thing I have for Cedar Fest is, are we interested in renting those golf carts again this year? The quote on them for 4 golf carts for 2 days is $680.
Yes.
That was a quick answer. Listen, I'm telling you, that's enough down the field, about killed. I do it during the Halloween event, ran down through there 5 million times, and I'm about dead.
Did you say $480?
600. That's four passenger golf carts. Pick them up Friday morning, this day, and take them back Monday. Thursday, pick them up Thursday, take them back Monday.
That's a good price.
I'll do that for that amount of days.
I thought it was just one, honestly.
How many days?
6 days to a month.
Pick up Thursday.
So we're good to get those golf carts.
And they send us chargers with those drip equation. Gas.
How about a golf cart holiday? Wise from town. There at Cedar Fest.
Give the $25. Talk to your friend.
Which one, Deskins, design across the law?
It's all fine in 25.
We can do golf carts in town?
Oh, no.
Oh, you can put it
I'll put a needle on top of my
I can do it from my shop to the town hall? Is that what you said?
25 mile an hour.
With slow moving.
25 mile an hour.
I'm gonna get me a pink golf cart to come to town meetings in.
Pink cards. All right, Drew, what else you got?
GIS mapping update. I've talked to Mark Osborne some more from the Lane Group. I kind of put a hold on that right now while we're doing the software change. So I want to make sure everything integrates, their software integrates with what we're talking about with these. So I put a little bit of a hold on that, as well as the text my gun that I talked about last time. Because the software, some of the software is offered as well. So I'll put that on the back burner for now. A couple of things I've had to add. We looked at the, couple of those went over and looked at the basketball court, it's staked out, what we talked about at Parks and Rec, maybe expanding that. It's staked off right now, we may bring in a little bit less, it's staked off right now at 50 by 70. Robbie has quoted $7,700 to do that in concrete.
Mary said it's away from, is it away from the sewer and water lines?
There's a sewer line there that we have to, if we brought it in some more, skin it down to like a 45 by 65 or something.
I think you can stay 70 and just do 40.
Just do a 45. I think we can get away from there. There's a water line clean out there, that wouldn't be 4 inch, it wouldn't be much to move.
Pass it on to Mr. Gilmore over to Art.
Hold on one second. So, did everybody have a chance to look at it?
I did, but I didn't.
What's the plan with the, do we want to move the manhole or not? I mean, can we condense the court down a little bit so we don't have to move that?
I did not look at that.
I haven't put
Well,
totally
but
out.
didn't he say that he could bring it up, to be flushed?
He can bring it up flush, yeah.
But still, that might be
Still right.
Still an ankle hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want that.
I think if, probably everybody better eyeball that or make sure that, so what if you stay away from it, how much does it reduce the size of the court?
5 foot approximately.
The width or the length?
Width.
And when would we look to do this update? After, like, in the fall? Once things kind of, the park slows down a little bit, maybe? Like when the weather's still good?
Probably because you,
It'd take you that long to probably get material and gold and everything.
So that gives everybody time to look at it.
Yeah.
and Make a decision.
Well,
Probably don't
until
want to dig it up
they'll
until
be
the summer. Nobody knows.
Yeah. We don't want to dig it up.
that,
Things
and
are busy.
then we have to decide on concrete or asphalt. You know,
That's
if
right.
it's too cold, they're gonna shut the asphalt.
That's right. That'll give us time, we got time, Drew. Okay.
Yes, sir. One thing I got here to add on, in the packet, it's not in the packet, but it's on the loose folder, is a email I got from John McCoy at the fire department. Now that the truck is back out, that Denny has the truck, the exterior part of the truck repaired, it's back in service at the town hall. John said they went through the fire truck to see what was damaged, interior wrecks, and these are his items. She mentions that it should be coming out of monies for the insurance from the wreck.
I think we spent those monies on the new unit and tools. Yeah,
And I also thought we talked about, he mentioned some ladders, but I thought we talked about taking the ladders off the other one for now, the one to get repaired, and putting them on that.
Well, the other thing too, they got an allotment, an additional allotment from the county that we didn't get. You know what I'm saying?
So, you know, the ladders.
My plan with Paul, the original plan was, we're getting ready to take the other one out of service to repair the one we're gonna get bids on that got burnt. And those ladders, we're gonna go on ladders for the one that's put back in service. So,
What is it, F-32, Brad? That's level. That should not be, I mean, truthfully, that should be out of service more than 3 days.
the one that's burnt.
If it's scheduled properly.
Right. And then this also brought up, when I got this, I was talking to John, I talked with him a couple other things about the other fire truck, getting some bids and estimates on it, going back and forth. I would like to, if you all are okay with it, I'd like to talk to John or Brad. And since the fire department is part of our town, we donate them money as assets out there. I would see if it's okay with the council if we had Brad or John Michael present at council meetings to discuss these things. They can tell you this list, a whole lot more of what this stuff is than I can. Luckily, we have Brad here that can help out a little bit. But I couldn't tell you what any of these things do, the need for them, and that kind of thing.
They start, their meetings are the same night as ours, second, fourth meeting. What time does that meeting start? 7? So if we could get them here at 6, and get to them early.
And they have a report in their agenda,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I'm all right with it.
Sure, any time that you request any head of anything to be here, they need to be here. So if you have questions about any invoices whatsoever, all you need to do is ask.
I just want to make a
Sure.
agenda.
Because I mean, I have some questions here myself on,
but like,
I just got this, number one,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it seems like it's always the last minute when you get these, there's no, you can't really, and that's not blaming you, Brad, you're just not the part.
so they would be part of when the chief of police does his report, the chief of fire department would do their report.
Or, yeah, if we did come out earlier, move them up.
Or whatever, yeah. But you're saying to have them included in part of the regular.
Just for transparency and taking out loss in translation, communication
Yes.
side of it.
Yes.
And I'll echo this too, Drew. I mean, that kind of something Elijah said. It's not just this, as you will have learned as town manager. When you're dealing with the mayor and 6 council members, we need information before the meeting, before we have to decide make a decision, particularly when it's expending funds. So, you know, as those departments, I think it's just good practice. I think it's, that way we're educated and before the meeting, and if we have questions, one for you, or just for John Michael, or Brad, or anybody, chief of police, those last minute things that get laid in your lap probably don't get passed very often. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, did I interrupt Scott or Gold?
No, so, okay, just, Drew, this is for the new truck.
This is for the truck that Danny
Repaired,
just
okay.
repaired, that got wrecked, it's back out in service now. And John was saying he wanted to wait till it repaired before they could go through it and see what all was damaged inside and what they needed to replace.
Anything else, Drew?
No, sir, the last thing I have on mine is the update, the Virginia Department of Health revolving loan for the water plant PDRs was submitted last week. I talked to Chris Mullins this morning, and he said we should have a DEQ principal forgiveness number any day now. And I was getting that in preparation for the budget, but Chris said those funds, that payment wouldn't start until construction was complete, so.
Another budget cycle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, anything else while we got Drew here, or I'm sure we'll talk, you had some things you need to talk about later too.
Yes, sir.
And legal.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I've got one thing for Drew, Mayor. We had made a request for county for $500. Have you got any formal response?
I do have, I talked with Mr. Lester. He said that, talked to the county, they're not, basically he said they have no intent on changing the binding contract, that they have invested $250,000 into that site, and they plan on sticking to the binding contract.
Gotcha. And then my next question is, I guess for the council, do we need to check with the county to see if they have layout space, potential layout space for the salt issue that we may have as early as this year, is that correct?
2023. We'll have salt this
So
year.
we got more time, okay.
Yep.
Well, I don't solve this year, we went through this before, we're in the time.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, he'll be right down there.
Yeah, that's right.
They are actually, the county is actually, we just put in a 6-inch tap, water tap for them. They're actually switching over to a salt brine system. I think we're gonna try out this year, salt and water mixed, put down.
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna try.
Be that?
Yeah, it gets in all the cracks in your vehicles.
Yeah, I think it has to be put down has to be put down for a certain temperature.
Yeah, okay.
Like that on salt.
All right, anything else for Drew right now?
Yeah, so we aren't going to approve these quotes for the fire department?
We just got them, we don't know where to take it from, if it's coming from the insurance, I think we're gonna discuss it.
I'll make a motion to table the request for the Lebanon Fire Department this time.
I'll favor that,
Have a motion, is there a second? Oh, Elijah second. Any further discussion?
I just think it's hard to justify that we pushed to have this truck put back on the road and now we're not gonna outfit it for the firemen. You got a chief and assistant chief that volunteer with their department over 800 hours a year that are telling you what this truck needs to be outfitted.
Yeah, where are we supposed to take it from?
I think you ought to outfit the truck and then figure out where it comes from after that. But it's hard to push to get a truck in service and then not outfit it, and especially to outfit it and ask it to be ran not NFPA compliant. So, not only my life, but several others' lives could be on the line with needed equipment.
We can red tag it until we get it figured out. been dealing with that since June. And I'm all in support of the fire department, Brad, you know that. It seems like it's a trend that we always get invoices laid in front of us and nobody gets to ask about them or look at the damaged equipment or, I mean, I understand that some things got damaged, but that truck's been out of service for how long? They knew we bought the truck back. They knew we were having it repaired, and there's no excuse in bringing us $3,700 worth of invoices the day of the council meeting. We just had a committee meeting last week that we could have added this to, but I just, when we're spending $3,700, I'd like to actually.
That meeting happened on the 5th, is that correct? And this email was sent the 4th.
It's sitting here in front of me right now, and I'm not saying it before.
Well, if I recall from our discussions, with the fire department, from the financial standpoint, when we wanted to make sure, we knew there was going to be additional costs. We tried to think of everything when we financed the new fire truck, the new equipment, the labeling, the markings on the truck, whatever upfit we needed. And I think that, I think we kind of missed the ball, but I think we tried, that's one thing we need to ask of the fire department, I think we have, is that we need to plan some of this, to budget for it. To me, that would have been a good opportunity when we finance the new fire truck, when, to maybe roll the equipment in, to at least an agreement possibly at that point, so that way, we could plan for it in the future budget years. So I'm not against the purchase, but like I guess some of the other council members have expressed, I like to be able to review it. I like to be able to see again, from a financial standpoint, what funds that we receive back from the insurance company, both on the truck and the equipment, and our expenditures to this point that we spent, to see if those funds are still available in the budget, which I do not think they are. So then it comes to the mayor's question, where do we pull it from? Do we pull it from the general savings, from LGIP, from ARPA funds? Do we wait till the next ARPA installment in June? So, I hear that we're in support of taking care of our fire department, but we have to, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that, everything's balanced in the budget.
I have a question, I guess, for Brad too. Brad, you remember the second allotment that the county gave the fire department, the ARPA? Do you all know, or Drew, or Diane, where is that money?
15,000? Or
They ended up giving an additional allotment to every fire department, and first responders,
I know of the
in addition to the first one.
I only know of the 15,000 that we spent.
Don't y'all remember that we knew they were getting ready to come back and gonna ask us for another one?
I believe that's what we purchased to wash and dryer with. Fire department.
Okay.
Yeah, the last 15,000, actually, the fire department provided an itemized list, and we moved forward with those purchases.
Well, I have a question for Brad. So we have this truck that we need to use, but it's not equipped and you can't use it, so, right?
We'll red tag it.
Oh, okay. I need to clarify something real quick. Is this the new 550 coming, or is this the one that was rolled in Carter's?
This is the one that's rolled in Carter.
So this is the damaged stuff on
That
that
we-
truck?
That we've pushed to get back in service.
No, I'm just having a messy question. Did all this right here, there was 2 axes that were damaged on that rollover?
Was.
Do we still have all that equipment?
Should be at the fire department.
See, that's the importance too, Elijah. One of the points you made is the inventory of the equipment, so that way we can keep up with what we have and what we don't have, and when it's damaged or destroyed and needs to be replaced, we can plan, on a budget standpoint. We really got to do it a little bit better in getting the fire department inventory.
Drew, putting you on the spot again, old buddy.
Yes, sir.
Another question. So we have a budget, I guess you and Scott both. We have a budget for the fire department in the town's budget, is that correct?
Mhm.
Do we have any idea what the balance of that budget is right now?
I've got reports back there that I can pull that for you, I don't know right off the top of my head.
I can tell you, man, it's 0.
Oh, is it all gone? Okay.
Yes.
That's all I want to know.
But this, I mean, to me, this is kind of like it's not an emergency, but like that fire truck was wrecked and we can't do it. I mean, that, we had to replace it or do something with it.
We won the state championship game.
I can't see how you can wait on equipment of a truck that could be used and cannot be used because it's lacking of equipment.
Oh, yeah, I see, I understand the concern. Let me see, last of our discussion, Diane, we have a motion and a second to table until when?
Didn't say we had my motion there.
Okay. All right,
Can we just set maybe a continued meeting, so, the chief and, will be able to be here to kind of answer some of these questions? Not that you're not doing a great job answering these questions. And have it in the next week or so, and go over the questions such as the budget and the needing for, I mean, I think all of these are good questions. I don't think it needs to wait a month, but we need some time to
What's,
look at it.
what's everybody, well, kind of what Scott from our other committee meetings last week. Is the 23rd, 2 weeks from tonight, good for everybody? I can't remember how that lined up. Scott, were we gonna try to have ARPA and finance before a meeting, or do you remember how we were
I
gonna
think
try?
we're gonna try to have a budget meeting sometime mid-month or in between this month and next month's, meeting. And of course, budget, we can always talk about other financial or, I guess it'll be under finance budget. So we can talk about ARPA and ARPA there as well.
So, are there, calendar-wise, can we adjourn tonight to reconvene on the 23rd is my question.
That would be good with me.
At 5 o'clock, instead of 6. Noel,
That's fine.
Deanna,
I think so, I'm not sure.
Elijah,
Yes, sir, I'm fine with that.
Fred, can you make 5, or do we need to keep it 6?
Zoning.
You good, Mayor? Everybody, else, if we can do that, I guess Scott needs to look at his work schedule then.
The 23rd,
It's a,
5
yes.
o'clock.
Okay. Diane, can you help, when this meeting's over, to remind me to adjourn to reconvene? Okay. All right. Okay, anything else?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you all.
Chief, before we start yours, Mr. Bodmer, how are you? Did you need to address council for anything tonight?
No,
I know- Okay, I think I got everybody that's here, so just want to make sure you had a chance as well. Ted, anything? All right, Chief.
That's
We
good.
have a motion and a second to table this.
Scott? I guess let's withdraw the motion. Scott, could you and Elijah withdraw your motion to table till we meet on the 23rd?
Oh, we just table it till the 23rd, because I guess we can vote on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be a council meeting.
Yeah, it's a council meeting.
I thought you said finance committee. Just table it till the 23rd.
Okay, with me, my motion will table it to 23rd, Mayor.
Okay. So there's, your second, good. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you for asking, Brad. All right, Chief, here you go.
So just the numbers for April, we had 21 criminal arrests and 10 traffic summonses issued, 10 felony arrests, 11 misdemeanor arrests, 10 motor vehicle crashes, 2 DUI arrests, 22 assist motorist calls, responded to a total of 331 calls for service, and patrolled 9,641 miles. DTF was successful on 5 purchases, and also Todd has not helped us with several search warrants. He was able to come out and write some search warrants for some of the officers on some calls that they had got into and stuff, so he come out and helped them with that, so that they could get back to patrolling while he handled that. There was one particular search warrant that they acted on, where they got a lot of meth, guns, ammo, and money. It was a pretty high target for them, so that was pretty good. Also, if you've seen any of the news lately, the Phillips man that was sentenced to 18 years for trafficking there, probably was one of the main case agents on that, so that was a pretty good bust that they got there. Was able to get Chris Kaiser. He's, of course, with being shorthanded with Rife and everything, so he can get back. He's been helping out on the road a lot. He's been coming in and answering we're working some patrol shifts for us, so working out pretty good. CTAC, we had 13 total CTAC transfers, and again, the TDO situations is getting worse and worse every day, but Chris is being gracious enough to let the CTAC guys handle those as much as possible. So, other than that, it's pretty much business as normal, going pretty good.
Okay. All right, do we have questions for the chief?
I just had a question. Drew had mentioned maybe getting a grant for your radios. Have you all started that process?
Yeah, I talked with Jess Powers with that, and he said that Governor Youngkin is reorganizing the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, so they're running a little behind on opening those grants up. But as soon as they were opened up, he's like,
Okay.
And we did talk, Drew put me on with John Michael. We did talk about, there is a comparable radio out there that we may be able to look at. It's not quite as expensive as the Motorola. Right now, the only issue is whether or not we can get a service contract at dispatch with him. The MCA rep kind of advised me that if they don't do a service contract, then he's like, he was straight up. He said that I'm going to nickel and dime you to death. He said every time I come out for any little thing, it's going to be a $250 charge here. He said, well, if we got a service contract, you're not going to eat all that up. So that's our biggest issue with not going with Motorola. But I do think the radios that John Michael found are comparable. I think they'll be good radios. So just.
So who does the service on the ones John Michael recommended?
I don't know that. I just know from what
Do you know?
I've been told, MCA will only service contract Motorola brand.
What's your gentleman's name?
Lance?
Baker?
Is he with Highlands? Ambulance? He is. That's all right, that's who, more than likely, he went to get the.
Well, I've got his contact, that's how we got to talk to him. But MCA says they'll only service contract Motorola. So, but maybe, we just have to see if it's safe, if it's a good, if they got a good warranty on the radio, then maybe we don't need to get a service contract, so.
You're probably talking to individual, Drew, you give it John, or Brad, give it John. Talk to the individual, he quoted this through and just asked him what type of service agreement he would give us as far as programming those radios, number one, because they're gotta be programmed. That's a big deal when you're talking about how many radios.
Well, we would need 13 total. But, I kind of thought too, if we need to, I don't know how the grants will work, but if we need to phase it out, we can do like 4 or 5 portable radios in the PD that officers just get when they come in rather than everybody having 4. We'll obviously have to outfit all the cars with one. But if we need to do it in phases, we can do the portables for this year, for next year, and just kind of, when the officer comes in, get one instead of having it off.
So does the mic on the carrier, does that work off the vehicle radio? Works off the portable?
You're thinking about a rack pack. We will not do a rack pack. because we're so close to the repeater.
Okay.
The county uses what you're talking about. They have the rat pack in the car, so it bounces off the car to the repeater. But when we're so close, we won't do that. So that saves us a couple grand already.
So just listening to the process that y'all are going through, that is something that we possibly can get within the next couple months.
Hopefully so, depending on how this grant opens up.
I didn't know a time on that.
I mean, you need, especially if the fire departments are going to it, the county's going to it.
The county's already been.
Right, they're there, you need it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that it's essential, especially, I like your proposal of, even if it is something we have, that we can, hopefully we can get the grant, but still, you have great, that we, you're working with us because they are so expensive that, we all need a couple at a time.
And that'll work, I mean, we have 4 in there, because we can keep 2 on charge and 2 on the road.
Right.
We can do whatever we need to do.
I did have one more question, and I asked on Thursday, but you just weren't here. I just was wanting an update on the firing range and kind of that project and how it's going, and then when do you think the next phase?
So, I've kind of just yielded all that to Roger and him. I've told him what we want done, and the money that we had to do it, and I'm just kind of, whenever they get time to do it.
Is that, you talking about our Roger?
Francisco.
Yeah,
So he'll have to schedule.
that's, yeah. So they know what we want done. I
Can't
just
never
want them
have
to do
schedule.
it.
Well,
We get done.
it'd be good to have a plan though, I mean,
I would
the
like, I
timeline.
would like to know the plan and the timeline maybe, because as we were talking, you're gonna need some kind of structure up there. What do you want that to look like? And, right now, I guess we're in the grading work, doing the berm, but as we move forward, kind of as I talked about on Thursday, what's that gonna look like?
Okay, we met Nathan a little bit, kind of got some, they can kind of what we were looking at and everything. So I think it's a simple idea is if we go up to the VOTEC and see if they'll build us a 10 by 12 building. Or just as one of their past projects, and maybe we provide the lumber and then build it, something like that. We don't need, we want it to look nice, but, obviously, we don't need that. We don't need a JSE shelter, we just need something to stand under. But we want it to look nice for people. The college range is no longer available to us. So,
What happened to it?
they put, that salmon farm that they're building, they're already major into construction on it, and it butts right up against it.
Oh,
So,
So it's out of use
Yeah.
they
completely.
probably don't want bullets fired.
I would imagine, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. But, I think, and I tried to mention this to Mr. Gilman too, I think, with this, if we do it in phases each fiscal budget year,
Yes.
we can have one of the nicest ones around. And the academy's already contacted me about, would they be able to come up and hold some training up here, which will bring in, when you get the academy coming, you get younger officers coming up, they see something nice, they say, oh, I'd like to come to work there, they got something like this, so I mean, it's something that's gonna be I think it's gonna be a good return for us.
In that committee meeting, Eric, Mary had kind of questioned, we had communicated back and forth about what was actually needed. And I know that there needs to be a shelter to keep targets and equipment in, that's under lock and key. But also, we had talked about an open shelter as far as having picnic tables where you can actually hold classrooms and stuff outside.
Yeah.
Or if you're downrange and it starts to rain, you'd have, instead of everybody running back to their vehicles, you'd have a place to put your equipment,
Yeah.
safety wise.
And that's what we thought, I think, me and Kaiser went up, and when we talked to Roger and some of them, I think we were thinking like 12 by 48, just a concrete pad with a roof, and then like a 10 by 10 outbuilding.
Pole barn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was telling her, an open
Yeah.
shelter, it doesn't need to be enclosed, just
Exactly, yeah, that's
where you
all,
keep your
concrete pad with the roof.
keep your equipment out of the weather, and then if you all need to hold a classroom, you can have dry erase boards or whatever.
That big green awning is still up there, we can repurpose that, use that, all that. So there's a lot of stuff up there we can repurpose. The aluminum poles that are there, we can use that for the target, to run the cable through the target. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can repurpose.
Well, then I do have a question, I guess for the council. If there's a lot of things that we can repurpose, that we can use for this, can we move forward with this project? Can we come up with a plan with you all to move forward with this project?
I think we just, I mean,
I think we need to see the plan.
That's what that's what I mean.
You and Chris, and then, Roger and Robbie, whoever's working out there with Drew, and you all just collaborate, figure out what needs to be done, and come up with a plan, and at that point, it just needs presented.
Right, and I think the only thing we're really, so I've got E. Dillon, who says they're willing to donate gravel for us, to come up there, but I was just kind of waiting on it for Roger to say, okay, the grade work's done, the berms are all done, now let's go next.
I think we're planning on now, as if you got it, that's what we're saying.
Okay,
Come up with what you need,
yeah,
what it's gonna look like,
yeah,
work with Drew and Roger,
yeah.
your, Chris and everybody. And by next month, could you have something?
Absolutely.
Can we do that by next month, have that plan?
Nathan's already working on one.
Okay, great, okay.
At the June council meeting, okay?
Absolutely.
We're gonna help you get it done.
I appreciate it. And I tell you, it is gonna mean a lot, because I can just tell you from working down there in the past, when we would go visit agencies like Wise County, stuff that has a nice range, and those officers, that young officers come in, they come back and that's all you hear them talk about, was how nice that range was. It's gonna garner a lot of attention for officers looking for jobs.
Well, and I also think, with losing Southwest and with the interest from the academy, I think now's the time.
Time,
Now's the time.
this
for
will
us
be
to move
traffic.
forward.
She said we can't get it built fast enough.
I do think that using the vocational school is probably the cheapest and best route.
That's what I was saying, especially for that area, I think, building.
The only issue is, it would probably have to be the first project they do for their 2022, 23 school year. Because it's once
They're closing down.
2 weeks,
Yeah,
2 weeks, I think they're out of school. The way that works is the town would buy the material, and that's all you gotta do. But I think the town could give a donation also to the department.
Yeah, you could get Eric Buchanan up there, that's what runs the
Yeah.
department class.
You don't fall project list.
Yeah.
Okay,
Actually, just confirmed, you could be the very first one.
Okay.
okay.
I'll reach out to
Anything else for chief?
them. Thank you.
One thing, Chief, the June meeting, is there any way that, Tyler could give us an update DTF wise? Because that's pretty well the end of the second quarter.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't.
We haven't heard from him for a while.
Yeah.
I think it was very informational last time. And even if you want to talk to Detective Kaiser, let him give us an update on some things he's working on.
Absolutely.
Vehicle update?
So the one that purchased is up and running, TJ's in it, everything. The new one is purchased, we have the check in hand. I'm just waiting on the lady from Sheehy to say, come get it. So as soon as she says, come get it, I'll do a turn and burn run, get it, and bring it right back. All the equipment's been purchased and invoiced to ARPA, to everything under ARPA. It's all in my office, so it's just literally waiting on Sheehy to say, come get it.
That's independent of the USDA though, correct?
Yes.
USDA grants, separate, correct?
When we hear about that, Eric?
I don't know.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know we looked in it, but I've met with them, me and Stephanie met with them, and we give them everything they needed, and then they signed, you guys approved that resolution. That was the last thing they were waiting on. So I've given them everything they need, I'm just waiting to hear back.
Do you have, what's the match on that? I mean, if we're planning,
They do 55, they do 55%.
okay,
Yeah.
so we need to plan on ARPA, 45% of that other car. That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We need to go into closed session with our attorney. Personnel, the Drew needs to have a personnel matter or two, is that correct?
Personnel, legal, and land acquisition.
Personnel, legal, and land acquisition, okay?
2.2-3711A for 1, 3, and 7.
Second.
Brother, any further questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
On